Hey everyone, this is Randy Wild here with my introduction to EDL 854 Building Finance. So, some things about me. I've been in education for about 13 years. I started out as a para, and then I moved on to be a special education teacher for about 5 years. And I'm currently the transition and CTE coordinator for my district, which is Caw Valley USD 321. I've been a head basketball coach for the last 10 years. I help out with football and track as well at the high school level. I'm really excited. I'm finishing this program next year. You know, Exciting time moving on, thinking about becoming a building leader here in the near future. I love the outdoors, sports, KU, Kansas City Royals, the Chiefs, and super excited, obviously, for the Super Bowl next week. There's my family. My son Rhett is 15 months old. My wife Beth and I have been married for 10 years. And then my daughter Tinley, who will be turning 6 this spring. Some of the resources that I found was, a lot of them repeated how principals in some districts have very little control over how the money is allocated to their building and where they can spend it. And I think obviously a principal should have a big voice in how that's done. There was mention in one of the articles by Smith that in 2013, a California school district was able to funnel some grant money straight to student expenditures. And that's a great example of being creative with the finances. And I know sometimes, there's a lot of restrictions on how the money can be spent, but being creative with your budget to get as much money to the students as possible. Principal empowerment accounts was another thing, finding that per pupil funding and getting it into accounts at the building level where it can really have the biggest impact directly to the student body. There was mention in another article by Smith about the Arkansas Professional Development Fund and how they were tracking it. This money was being spent on professional development for the teachers, but where was the accountability? Where was the proof that this was directly impacting the students or directly impacting teacher growth? So they should have to be accountable for the money, even when it's spent at the building level. In North Carolina, this was shocking to me. They spent $1.5 million over the course of 5 years on budget consultants. And I know school finance can be complicated, but, it's kind of sad to think about, how much of that money could have been spent directly on the students rather than paying somebody to figure out your budget for you. So there's got to be ways to simplify that. And that was kind of shocking to me. Got to know the procedures of your district. Again, every one of the texts covered that. And you have to know the forms. You have to know the procedures. You have to know how to get approval. You have to be able to track all of that. Over reporting and being critical is the best practice rather than under reporting. Even if it's all being tracked at the district level, finding software even in-house that I could use, I think would be a good idea. They gave some examples like Xero that I could use with my assistant. I could use with some office staff to help us really track every cent that we're spending and where it's going and making sure we're accountable and responsible for that money being spent in our building, I think would be best practice. And I am an advocate for some more school-based management with the finance to a certain extent. I know superintendents are hired to be the experts. But I think principals should kind of advocate for their building and try to get more involved in the process, try to learn more and how they can do more for their building. It is more responsibility. It is risky as far as your job goes, possibly. And, maybe it's less efficient having more hands in the pot rather than, one person allocating all of it. So just some things to think about. And it's a lot. It's one more thing on a principal's plate. So I do understand why it happens at that central base model at the district level, but I think there should be a little more teamwork involved. Having talked to my principal about these issues, he just really stressed, know your state and local and federal finance stuff when it comes to education. Stay current on it. Follow the legislation. Obviously, you got to memorize your district policies. You got to always ask for approval. You got to stay on top of all that stuff. And he said, just spend time getting to know the ins and outs of all of it. My biggest concern as a future building leader would be, making a mistake that could possibly cost me my job when it comes to our building budget, not having enough funds to run the building how I want, not being able to advocate enough for my students and my teachers to get the money that we need in the building are the biggest concerns that I have. There's my reference page from these articles that we retrieved information from, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'm looking forward to watching all your videos as well. Thank you.